All right, hello, boys and girls. We have been spending time on adding mixed numbers. So today we are going to be looking at how to subtract mixed numbers. And there's going to be some similarities, some differences as we look at these numbers. So things that you might want to subtract mixed numbers for are if you're comparing amounts, if you're comparing lengths, comparing distances, all the same things that we would do if we were subtracting numbers to begin with. So let's take a look at our problem to get us thinking here. It says Evan is walking 2 1/8 miles to his aunt's house. He has already walked 6/8 of a mile. They want to know how much further does he have to go. So you can solve this in any way you want. I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can solve with subtracting mixed numbers because subtracting can get a little bit trickier. So you want to think about they're similar with the adding the mixed numbers, but instead of adding, we're subtracting. But we need to think about when you're subtracting two numbers, like if I was subtracting 15 minus 9, I can't do 5 minus 9, so you would regroup, okay? And then I would be able to do this, 15 minus 9, and do it that way. Just like that, in mixed numbers, if the fraction parts cannot subtract, meaning you can't subtract the two numerators in the fractions, we would need to regroup. So we need to rename our fractions. So let's take a look at our problem here on a bigger screen. So we have, he's walking 2 1/8 miles to his aunt's house, and he's already walked that 6/8 of a mile. They want to know how much farther, okay? Some keywords here, farther, so that's telling us we want to subtract. Does he need to go? So we have our subtraction problem set up here, and just like I said with our mixed numbers when we were adding, you want to look at your ones or the fraction parts first, okay? And then you would look at your tens or the whole numbers. And when we were on the previous screen, it said we wanted to make sure that you could subtract your fraction parts. Well, if I was to bring this problem over here and rewrite it, I cannot do 1/8 minus 6/8, okay? I can't do 1 minus 6, so this does not work. So what we would need to do is look over to our whole number, the 2, and we need to regroup. But this is where when we're subtracting mixed numbers, it can get tricky. It's not like we just go over to the 2 and bring a 1 over because 2/8 still wouldn't work. You have to think of when you come over to this 2, a 1 in the world of fractions, really, because we're dealing with the eighths, would be 8/8. So I would really be bringing 8/8 over to our fractional part here. And then that would become 9/8, okay? And I'm going to move my little yellow bubble here in a minute to show you what I mean. So what they did is they came over to that 2. I'm going to rewrite this. They came over to that 2 and they borrowed this 1. But that 1 is really 8/8. So that's where this comes into play. So now we're looking at 8/8 and we're adding it to our 1/8. So we will end up with 9/8. So we're really going to end up with 1 and 9/8. And we're subtracting our 6/8 still. Now I can look at my fractional parts and subtract. I can do 9/8 minus 6/8. Denominator stay the same, just like they have been. 9 minus 6 is 3. So we end up with 3/8. Now I come over to my tens or my whole numbers, and 1 minus nothing is 1, okay? And that's exactly what's under our yellow bubbles here, okay? They had their 1 and 9/8 minus 6/8. We end up with 1 and 3/8, okay? So when you want to subtract these mixed numbers, the biggest thing is when you're regrouping. Remember, you're not regrouping just a 1. You have to regroup whatever the whole is in that fraction denominator that you are working with, okay? So you will be doing something similar like this just in your practice problem on your sheet. Please rewatch the video to go through the steps if you need to, as there are a few extra steps to this than there was with the adding of the mixed numbers. Thank you, boys and girls.